Welcome back to another Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fascinating world of food and nutrition. Whether you're the kind of person who meticulously tracks every single macro, or you're just trying to make slightly better choices at the grocery store, understanding the actual science behind what we eat is just incredibly empowering. We're going to unpack exactly how food interacts with human biology, and we'll take it all the way from the macro level right down to the microscopic. Let's get right into it.
To kick things off, ask yourself, have you ever wondered what a perfectly balanced diet actually looks like? Well, think of your body as an incredibly complex, 24/7 construction site. For decades, we relied on the classic food pyramid to tell us what building materials to bring to the site. But as science got better, that model evolved. We've totally shifted away from the old carb-heavy base of the 1990s to the modern inverted pyramid. This new model prioritizes proteins and healthy fats, puts a huge emphasis on fruits and veggies, and tells us to strictly limit those ultra-processed foods.
So here is our roadmap for the Explainer today. 1. Foundations of a balanced diet. 2. Macronutrients, the heavy lifters. 3. Vitamins, our microprotectors. 4. Minerals, the body's regulators. And 5. Altered foods, looking at adulteration and fortification. All right, let's jump in.
Section 1. Foundations of a balanced diet. Before we start engineering the perfect plate, we really need to understand what we're trying to achieve on a fundamental biological level.
It all starts with that big word, nutrition. The word itself actually comes from the Latin root nutre, which simply means to nurture or nourish. Basically, nutrition is the science of food and how it relates to our health. And why is this science absolutely crucial? Because from the literal moment of conception to the end of our lives, the human body needs a constant, unbroken supply of energy just to do basic things, like breathing.
To get all those essential nutrients, we need a balanced diet. But it's not just about hitting your daily minimums. A truly balanced diet mixes different types of food in amounts that cover your immediate needs for calories, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. But here's the clever part, it also makes a small provision for extra nutrients. That's essentially an emergency stash, preparing your body to handle short periods of leanness or food scarcity.
Moving to Section 2, macronutrients, the heavy lifters. Now that we have our foundation set, let's look at the major building blocks of our biological construction site. These are the compounds we need in large amounts, literally measured in grams.
First up, we've got proteins. Think of proteins as the bricks and scaffolding. They are entirely responsible for growth, repair, and overall body maintenance. You can get them from animal sources like milk, meat, cheese, and fish. In fact, egg proteins are widely considered the gold standard. But you can absolutely get them from excellent plant sources too, like pulses, beans, nuts, and soybeans. As a general rule of thumb, a normal adult needs about 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight every single day.
But what happens when we don't get enough? Well, the physical reality is pretty shocking. In childhood, a severe lack of protein and calories leads to marasmus, where a child develops a thin, bony face, sunken eyes, and ribs that show right through the skin. If it's just a lack of protein, it causes kwashiorkor. And it's definitely not just a kid's issue. Adults who don't get enough protein become dangerously underweight, suffer from anemia, heal much slower, and face a way higher risk of bone fractures.
And that brings us to our next macronutrient, fats. Ready for a crazy number? 9 kilocalories. That is the massive amount of energy packed into just a single gram of fat. It is an incredibly concentrated fuel source. But beyond just providing energy, fats literally cushion and protect vital organs like your liver and kidneys. A healthy diet actually needs fats to make up 20 to 30% of your daily energy. Without it, you could end up with conditions like phrenoderma, also known as toad skin, which leaves your skin covered in rough, dry, scaly bumps.
Rounding out our macro category, we have carbohydrates. Carbs are your body's main go-to energy source. While fats give you 9 kilocalories a gram, carbs give you 4. Because they're the primary fuel, they should actually make up 50 to 60% of your daily calories. We're talking cereals, wheat, rice, potatoes, and fruits. If you completely cut out your carb intake, you're quite literally just going to run out of gas and experience a profound loss of energy.
Section 3, vitamins, the microprotectors. Okay, let's adjust our microscopes. We're zooming way in, from macronutrients measured in grams down to micronutrients measured in tiny milligrams or even micrograms. These are the specialized tools and electrical wiring of the body. Let's start with vitamins.
Here's a rapid-fire breakdown of the B-complex family. It's not just one vitamin, it's a whole crew. Thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, B6, folate, and B12. Sourced mostly from meats, dairy, and leafy greens, these guys are your metabolic engines. If you run low, your body starts breaking down, leading to anemia, terrible weakness, mouth ulcers, and in the case of niacin deficiency, a nasty disease called pellagra, which brings on severe skin rashes and cognitive issues.
Next up is vitamin C. It's an absolute must for protecting and repairing your cells. The richest natural source is actually amla, along with citrus fruits and greens. If you run completely out of vitamin C, you risk scurvy. This condition notoriously causes incredibly painful, swollen, and bleeding gums, and eventually your teeth can literally become loose.
Now, it's wild how a microscopic deficiency can cause such massive physical changes. Take a look at vitamin D. It's essential for forming strong bones and teeth, and we uniquely source it by getting natural sunlight plus some from fish and dairy. When a growing child lacks vitamin D, it results in rickets. This literally warps the shape and strength of the bones, causing a really severe bowing effect in the legs.
Let's quickly wrap up these microprotectors. Vitamin A, from green and yellow veggies, is crucial for normal vision. Without it, you get night blindness and struggle to see in the dark. Vitamin E, found in seeds and oils, is often called the beauty vitamin for its anti-aging and immune-boosting properties. And finally, vitamin K from leafy greens is a deal-breaker for blood clotting. Run low on that, and you risk dangerous, uncontrollable bleeding.
Section 4, minerals, the body's regulators. All right, let's look at the other half of our micronutrients, minerals. These are the elemental regulators that keep you growing, repairing, and honestly just functioning minute to minute. Let's talk calcium. 99%, that is the staggering amount of your body's calcium that is locked securely away in your bones and teeth. It actually makes up roughly 1.5 to 2% of your entire body weight. But it's not just for bones. It helps your muscles contract and keeps your heart pumping. If you're deficient, you don't just risk bone issues, you can develop tetany, which means dealing with severe, painful muscle cramps and numbness.
Beyond calcium, we've got a powerhouse team of essential regulators. Phosphorus teams up with calcium for bone and nerve function. Magnesium is fascinating. It literally maintains the electrical activity in your nerves and muscles. Potassium is your fluid balancer, making sure nutrients actually get into your cells. And sodium, which gets a bad rap but is totally essential, plays a massive role in controlling your heartbeat. A severe drop in sodium leads to massive dehydration and circulatory failure.
Section 5. Altered foods, adulteration, and fortification. Up to this point, we've been exploring a perfect biological system. But let's be real, we don't eat in a vacuum. We get our food from a massive, human-driven supply chain. Let's step out of the biology lab and head straight into the grocery store. And this brings us to a huge, modern question. What actually happens when our food is messed with before it ever hits our plates? Human intervention in our food supply basically takes two forms. One is pretty dangerous, and the other is incredibly beneficial.
First, the dark side, food adulteration. Officially, adulteration is defined as substituting food, either wholly or partly, with cheaper, inferior, or even decomposed substances that actively ruin the quality of what you're eating.
This covers a whole bunch of really shady practices. We're talking about injecting artificial dyes into produce to fake freshness, hiding poor quality, selling spoiled food, or straight up adding toxic substances to make fruits and veggies look heavier or riper than they are. It's an economic cheat that literally robs you of all those vital nutrients we just spent time talking about.
But hey, altering food isn't always a bad thing. Contrast that with food fortification. Endorsed by the World Health Organization, fortification is the strategic addition of specific nutrients to foods to boost the diet quality of a whole population. Brilliant examples include adding fluoride to drinking water to prevent mass dental decay, putting iodine in our table salt to stop endemic goiter, and adding vitamins A and D to cooking fats like Vanaspachi ghee. It's literally science being used to fix nutritional gaps on a massive scale.
And just like that, we've reached the end of our journey today. We've zoomed from the macro blocks of proteins and carbs all the way down to the electrical sparks of magnesium and navigated the modern reality of adulteration and fortification. You now know exactly what your body's construction site demands. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question. Armed with the actual science of nutrition, how are you going to consciously engineer your daily plate? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, everyone. Keep questioning what you consume, and I'll catch you next time.